But we heard 4 issues that cut across all of our fields, and that if we heard 10 years ago, we certainly didn't hear with the same degree of urgency that we heard them then. And here they are. First, we heard rising concern about the growing dysfunctionality of the entire nonprofit model, especially for managers who said basically to us, look, I went into this business not because I wanted to run a big business. I went into it because I love the arts. Now my life is about school board policy. It's about donor cultivation. It's about postal regulations. Artists come and go from my building. I don't even know their names. I haven't set foot in a rehearsal hall for months. Something is wrong with this system. And isn't there a different way to finance the work we feel called to do? Secondly, we heard about an impending generational transfer of leadership. A generational transfer that was predicted not only in the arts, but in all nonprofit industries, where a report published in 2006 predicted that 75% of all CEOs and all nonprofits would vacate their jobs by 2012. An exodus that they primarily attributed to burnout from fundraising and difficulty managing their own boards of directors. And while the passage of the economic time has fundamentally changed that time frame, that transition is coming. And while for many years, a lot of us have said, where are we going to find the next generation who want the long hours, the bad pay, the lives of financial and social masochism with which we contented ourselves? What we heard in those meetings in every city was a choir of young people saying, look, there are more than enough of us ready and willing to lead these organizations. The only problem is we don't want to be the custodians of that thing we made. And unless we're given the same degree of autonomy and power and influence to shape and change those organizations that you have, well, then we're not interested. A perspective that means that the real issue isn't about where we find the heir apparent. The real issue is about organizational capacity for flexibility and change. Third, we heard, even in 2006, about the erosion of audiences in every industry, declining subscription renewals, the difficulty in attracting a single ticket buyer, increased churn, which is the industry term we use for turnover. Now in the United States, as many as 75% of audience members in any given night come for one event in your season and do not come back. A staggering statistic that just suggests how much work you have to do just to replenish the audience ranks. We heard about the collapse in the window of social planning when overnight people went from buying tickets not 2 weeks or 4 weeks in advance, but more typically the day of the show, or if you're lucky, 24 hours in advance. A disorienting shift that continues to plague box offices and marketing departments who struggle on a Tuesday to accurately understand the prospects for the upcoming sparsely sold Saturday performance. Do we have a bad show? Have we not advertised in the right place? Or is this just the new social rhythm and we need to sit back because by Saturday we'll be sold out? We don't know how to manage that. In 2006, we were already reading reports where 42% of men and 55% of women said, I'm too tired to do the things I truly want to do. And the number one answer to a public poll about what you want to do on a free evening was not go to dinner with friends or go to a restaurant, not go to a gallery or a performance or a movie. The number one answer in the United States was, I want to get a good night's sleep. Not surprisingly, our audiences are eroding. And the erosion of the audience in conflict with rising fixed costs in facilities and insurance and wages and health care, just as contributions plummet, inevitably means an escalating ticket price that threatens to place the arts outside of so many in our communities we wish to reach and serve. And fourth and finally, we heard a struggle to understand what technology means for the live performing arts. When the web first appeared, a lot of us said, hallelujah, this is the answer to our prayers. And now, we found, if anything, it's too effective. In trying to attract the attention of a single ticket buyer, depending on who you read, you now compete with between 3,000 and 5,000 different marketing messages a typical American sees every single day. Technology is our biggest competitor for leisure time. Gen Xers spend 22 hours of leisure time online and on TV, the majority on TV. Gen Yers spend even more, 24 hours, the majority online, and those numbers are growing. And by the time a young woman graduates from college in the United States, she will have spent 20,000 hours online and an additional 10,000 hours playing video games. A stunning reminder that we now work in a cultural context where video games outsell movie and music recordings combined, and video games are reviewed in the arts and leisure culture pages of the New York Times. Most profoundly, technology is changing the way we consume. Thanks to the internet, we think we can get anything we want, any time of day, tailor-made to our own convenience. We can shop for jeans at 3 in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, ordering hips and waist sizes configured to our own bodies, delivered to our own doors. Expectations of personalization and customization and convenience that the live performing arts, which has set curtain times, set venues, attended inconvenience of travel, parking, and the like, simply cannot match. And what will it mean in the future when we ask a young person who is used to downloading culture on demand 24 hours a day through YouTube and iTunes, when we say that opera, symphony, or ballet ticket's $100, when that young person is used to downloading on the internet for 99 cents a song or for free? These are enormous, fundamental, seismic questions. But however particular they feel to us, we're not alone. We are engaged in a global realignment of culture and communications. A realignment that is shaking the newspaper industry, shaking the magazine industry, shaking book retailers like B. Dalton, who have gone bankrupt in the United States, and a taste of what may be yet to come with the music distribution industry. Remember Tower Records? May be redefining distribution and leaving us in disarray. For all of these reasons, I say the crisis we face is not a financial crisis. The crisis we face is a crisis of urgency and relevance. The financial merely redefines the resources we bring to bear. Surely, the words of Adrienne Rich, the poet, resonate when she says, "We are out in a country that has no language, no laws. Whatever we do is pure invention. The maps they gave us are out of date by years." And aren't you glad you all invited me here to brighten your day? You know, in looking to the future, I'm always inspired by two different thinkers. Our 19th century Abraham Lincoln, who in his second inaugural address was quoted more recently by Barack Obama in his first inaugural address, well, we hope it's his first but not his last, where he said, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. As our case is new, so must we think anew and act anew." A real statement for boldness. And that other great thinker that I don't need to tell you who he is, but Wayne Gretzky, the former Edmonton Oiler, who when asked to account for his greatness quite simply said, "I skate to where the puck will be." How is it that we in the arts think about skating to where the puck will be? You know, I think we've got to begin by asking ourselves hard questions. We have to ask ourselves, why must we exist today? Especially in a time with so many other options. Because we have a building is no longer good enough. Because we have a staff and a board and artists is no longer good enough. Because we have a whole scrapbook of great reviews and critical awards is not good enough. What is it in the external world that calls on us to continue to flourish and thrive in our communities today? I've always said every organization has to be able to answer three tough questions about itself. Question number one, what is the value of my organization for my community? Question number two, harder. What's the value my organization alone offers or offers better than anyone else? Because especially in this marketplace, duplicated and second-rate value will not stand for long. Question number three, hardest. How would my community be damaged if we closed our doors and went away tomorrow? If we can't answer these questions, the only supporters we're going to find already probably sit in their seats. You know, more recently, though, I've started to think maybe these questions are too limiting. Maybe they ask us to look at our community through the lens of our organizational behavior as we've known it.